Guys, welcome back to the Malabash Media Show. We have a really amazing guest here. A jack of all trades. He's done so many things and he's here to share with us. Plus, just a really genuine human being. Absolutely amazing. Vince Warnock is here with us today. He's CEO of Chasing the Insights. He's got his podcast, author. NFT professional. Like, he's this amazing person. So, thank you so much, Vince. Appreciate you being here.
I'm super happy to be here. Seriously, I mean, just cheekily, so you and I get to catch up, so which is always fun,
Yes.
but also because I love the show, so it's an honor to be a guest.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking the time because I know you're super busy. So we're going to jump right in here with some fun questions for you. Basically, you got so many things going on right now. You've got a really cool NFT class coming up that we will be talking about soon. And you guys will also have a call to action so that you guys can find out how to support and work with Vince because he's got some really fantastic marketing insights along with author. All kinds of really great things for podcasting to pretty much everything else. So he's your go-to guy. But Vince, what encouraged you to really get into this whole chasing the insights and the CEO behind it? And what was your inspiration for your book and things like that? So
Oh man,
tell us all about
so
it.
much to cover here. So, well, I'll give you a quick kind of background on me. I grew up in a not very nice environment. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a really abusive household. Had a drug addict as a father, alcoholic mother. So lots of fun times as kids trying to hide away from violence. But breaking out of that, I started my first company when I was about 11 years old, and kind of got that taste for entrepreneurship. As soon as I found that I could control my own destiny, that I could actually create my own wealth, that was an incredible feeling. But it also came from having a really inspirational teacher, and he was somebody who, honestly, for the first time in my life, like when he spoke to me, he spoke about me, it was the first time I'd ever felt believed in and felt like there was a hope that I didn't have to be a statistic from my past. So that kind of led me on this crazy journey that I'm on now. So I've been in and out of both startups and entrepreneurship and, of course, corporate life through most of my career. Did a stint on radio as a radio announcer on one of our top radio stations here for a number of years. Absolutely loved that. Just hated the lack of pay because it was a really poorly paying job. But then I kind of early days would start and fail businesses until I started and then go back to corporate and then started to start and succeed with businesses and be able to sell them off. And I had just come off the back of selling my largest startup, which was called Common Ledger. And that was a multi-8-figure exit after, well, probably 3.5 years of extreme stress and anxiety, if I'm honest. But it was worth it once you got that paycheck. When you're the majority shareholder, it's a very nice day when you sell a company like that. But I left there and joined the team at Cigna Insurance and became chief marketing officer there. So I was at Cigna for 5 years. And on paper, it is a dream job. If you're a marketer, being the chief marketing officer at a Fortune 100 company is pretty much the pinnacle of what you can achieve. And I certainly, my time there was awesome. I got the results, managed to turn around their online sales from pretty much nothing to half their revenue. So essentially double the revenue of a Fortune 100 company in 5 years, which was amazing. Got the recognition for that. Got to travel the world, speak on stages everywhere. I love public speaking, so that part was really enjoyable. But I won a number of awards, even got recognized by Adobe as one of the top 50 marketers in the world. Published my first book when I was there, which was Chasing the Insights. And I remember sitting in my office one day, actually just going, wow, this huge office with my Mad Men style whiskey cabinet in the corner. I'm very proud of that whiskey cabinet. And I was sitting there looking out my window and this beautiful view, watching all the cruise ships come in, going, I'm going on you next. I'm going on you after that. I'm going on you. This is going to be awesome. And realize I hated my job. And it wasn't that it was a bad job. It's just that I was incredibly unfulfilled. And I kind of realized that when you're at that level, you basically, people to you are a dollar sign or a data point. And that doesn't really connect with me at all. I need to be, just from looking at my past, I need to be somewhere where I'm actually helping people. Like I can be like that teacher that helped me when I was age 11 and actually inspire people and give people hope and help them to achieve their goals. So that led to the easiest hard decision I've ever made in my life, which was back in November, December 2019. I remember turning around to my CEO and saying, I think I need to leave. And she's like, no, And I said, no, I think I need to, I want to, at the time, my goal was to become a full-time author. I said, I need to write my next book. I know it's going to help a lot of people. I really want to inspire people. And she was like, no, I'm going to get you a psychologist because I think you're having a breakdown. I went, I'm not having a breakdown. And she goes, but do you know how much we pay you? And I went, yes, but it's not about the money. And she goes, I don't quite understand. And I went, and that's partially why I'm leaving. So January 2020, that was it. I left Cigna, and the goal was to become that full-time author. That lasted about 1 week because when you've got ADHD and you're trying to write a book full-time, forget about it. It was incredibly stressful, not good for your mental health. So that led me on the journey I am on now, which was really to launch my podcast. And the goal was just to help as many entrepreneurs as I possibly could by interviewing amazing people like you, Ashley, amazing people around the world who can just add value to you in your journey as you build and scale and grow your business. It led me to writing a number of other books, launching my own publishing company, and also led me to, once COVID kind of hit the world, led me to help entrepreneurs directly through coaching and through advisory and through strategic work and things. And then I remember about halfway through 2020, I was sitting there and I'm on my desk in the morning. It was about 2 a.m. because I have this weird condition where I don't really sleep. But I'm sitting there in front of my computer at 2 a.m. I'm like, what is this weird bubbly feeling on the inside? Like, and, if I got indigestion, I didn't know what it was. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, I realized what that is. I feel fulfilled. I'm legitimately helping people and legitimately like getting them to turn around their lives. And some of the stories that were coming back from my clients, it was amazing. I remember picking my wife up from work one day. She's an addictions counselor. And I was in the car and I was listening to these messages from my clients talking about how one of them had just secured their biggest contract ever. And they were like, oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed, but I'm so excited and all this. And I was sitting there, tears streaming down my face. And my wife hops in the car and goes, what's going on? I was like, listen to this. I was playing the messages. She goes, oh, that's sweet. I just saved 2 people's life today. And I went, damn it. You've got much better stories than I do. So that was kind of what led me to that journey. And now, of course, branching into the stuff I'm doing around NFTs, it really is about now looking about how I can kind of push outwardly to affect some social change as well, to be able to help people not just with their businesses, but with their well-being, with actually wanting to be a change in the world and spreading positivity and things as well. So it's a very exciting journey, but the motivation, the main motivation for all that, Ashley, is really back to that age 11, that experience that I had, that weird feeling of having someone believe in me and having hope for the first time. It inspired me to not be, a statistic. It inspired me not to be defined by my past, but at the same time also inspired me to want to help other people to feel that as well. And that's been a driving force through most of the change I've done in my career. Most of it's around, hey, I need to move to where I'm helping people.
That's amazing. You've come from such a rough, background to overcoming so much and becoming such a huge positive force for so many other people is, it's amazing. It's not always seen. And so I just think that's a huge, you're a huge inspiration to so many people, Vince. And you're doing a whole lot, and you're obviously really good at the marketing. And I do understand that, side of, hey, you've got the dream job, right? You've got that. So what every marketer wants to have, they got their almost private yacht, all that good stuff. And if you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled with that, it's just, it's not worth it.
It makes you feel like, honestly, I still remember sitting there because I started writing out a list, when I listed off all the different things that were positive about my job, the awards, getting recognized by Adobe, publishing my book, all these different things. I was literally writing a list in my office, and I was doing it because I felt so unsatisfied. And I felt really guilty about that as well, because I was very conscious that there are a whole pile of marketers in the world that would kill for that job. There are people that would, that is what they want to achieve with their career. And I'm sitting there with it going, I don't really want it. So I felt like I was being incredibly ungrateful, and I was very conscious of what I had in my hand at the time. But it all came back to that sense of feeling unfulfilled. And there was like, it really is like a hollow feeling on the inside. There's something missing in you. And you're like, I can't sit in this. I can't just earn money. Money's irrelevant if you're not doing anything good with it. So so I had to make a change. It was an easy conversation with my wife. Came home and she just went, "You're not happy, are you?" And I went, "No." And she goes, "We need to make a change, don't we?" And I went, "Yeah." and that was it. We made the decision.
That's awesome. I'm so like, what a great wife. She's so
Oh,
supportive. Cheers
she's
to her.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been married for
absolutely.
27 years now, and I can tell
Wow.
you, I'm still petrified that one day she's gonna wake up and go, "Wait a minute, I am so much above your station. Like, what's going on here? You are batting well above your average here, man," which I'm very conscious of. So I work hard on that relationship. Yeah, she's
I
incredible.
love it. I love it. You need more relationships like that for sure. You
Yeah,
guys are
yep,
super cute. So you touched on writing your book a little bit.
yeah.
And personally for me, I couldn't write a book ever myself. I'd have to have somebody I dictated to somebody so they could write it. So
Oh,
tell us
oh,
about that
I so wanna
experience.
challenge you right now, Ashley. I'm like, you totally can write a book, and you should, and you will write a book, by the way. That's it. You have to write a book now. Stop
Oh
doubting
no.
yourself. Yeah,
It would be interesting. Yeah, but
yep.
what inspired you to
Honestly,
write
most
a
of my
book? Because
clients that
that's
come to me
completely
think they
different.
can't write a book. Yeah.
What inspired you to write a book versus because
Okay.
you're marketing? So what was that inspiration behind that? Like that's such a
I've
broad.
got 4 main motivations that I tell people around writing the book. So, the first was going all the way back to what we call primary school. So age I think I was about 6, and I we were learning handwriting at school. So you had to, we didn't have computers back then. Just dating myself a little bit here. We didn't have computers back then. So I had to write out everything. And logically, I understood all the rational concepts of how to write. I knew that, capital goes at the beginning of a sentence, goes at the beginning of a noun, but when I wrote, all of those rules seemed to go out of the window. And if I wrote the word connected, I would have some of the ends in there would be capitals, some of them would be lowercase. And it baffled my teacher. And I had a terrible teacher back then. And my teacher was like, well, I need to analyze this and find out what's going on. She called an expert and they couldn't really put their finger on it. And so she turned around and decided that the reason I was struggling to write is because I was retarded. That was her words back then. And she said, like, you're just retarded. There's no way you're ever going to learn to write properly. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, first of all, screw you. I'm a 6-year-old with a bit of a sassy attitude, just going, I'm not going to be defined by that. And it turns out when I got to that teacher at age 11, they figured out what it was. He was just like, I've seen this before, Vince. And I said, yeah. And he goes, you're not retarded at all. I think I know what this is. So they got me to do an IQ test. And he goes, yep, proves my point. What it was is my brain was working so fast. It was like 10 paragraphs away and going, oh, capital at the beginning of that word. And I would just write it in the middle of whatever I'm writing at the time. So all I had to do was learn how to slow down my thinking so my hands could catch up and I could write. But essentially I was intelligent, not retarded. So yes, anyway, that was motivation number one, horrible teacher. Motivation number two is I used to work with a angry little Canadian woman who she was an author. She had written 2 books and so she was actually really lovely, but she couldn't cope with the fact that in my role where we were, I used to travel around teaching universities, technical institutes, and that how to do marketing. And we were in a leaders meeting one day, and we were standing there, and they said, "Oh yeah, and Vince, they want Vince to go around and do another roadshow and teach them this new technology and blah blah blah." And she lost it. She was just like, "Oh, Vince, 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 that's all I hear. Why do they ask me to go around and teach them stuff?" And she goes, Vince isn't an author. He wouldn't make an author's a-hole. And I went, I'm right here. So I thought, okay, I don't like being told I can't do something. It really does motivate me to try and do it. So I thought, I'm going to write a book. And when that book's published, I will neither confirm nor deny whether I sent a copy to that person and actually signed it from the author's a-hole. So I did have some fun with that. But the 2 main reasons that I actually wanted to publish a book and write it and publish a book was number one, I had the methodologies that I'd used through my career and got the results that I got through my career with my startups and through the different corporates I worked at. A lot of that was stuff that I'd created. And when I was at Cigna and I was getting the results that I was, a number of the different Cigna markets around the world were demanding my time and say, look, we just want an hour of your time every week just to meet with our team and to talk them through, your methodologies and to teach them what you're doing. I worked out there were over 40 different markets asking me to do the same thing, which is more than a full-time job, So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it in a book. That way you can all buy the book and I'll make some money off it. Oh, it's a win-win for me. So that was a motivation. But then the other one, and this was the surprise one for me, was a friend of mine owns a media agency, or owned a media agency up in Auckland, a very successful one. And he was moving to New York. And before he left, he caught up with me. We had a beer. He sat down. He said, "Oh, Vince, I forgot to tell you, I've published my first book." And I was like, "Dude, this is fantastic. Like, why didn't you lead with this? I need to get a copy of the book." And he goes, "Oh, no, 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 I wouldn't bother." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "It's rubbish." I said, "Oh," I thought he's just being a typical Kiwi, by the way. Even when you were paying me compliments before, the Kiwiness in me, the New Zealander in me, was really struggling with that. Going, "No, no, no, quick, downplay it, make a joke." Um, so I said to him, like, "You can't say that about your own book." And he goes, "Well, I can, because it was a social experiment." And
Mm.
I asked what he meant. And basically, what he had done is he had whipped together this book as fast as he could. So, put together this book, and he said, "I wanted to test if people took me more seriously when I was a published author versus when I wasn't published." And I said, "Well, how did it work?" And he goes, "Way better than I thought." And I had to understand what that was. I was like, "This doesn't make sense to me. Why do people take you more seriously if you're a published author?" Until you realize that not many people actually do write books, because it's a lot of work. Like, there's a lot of effort that goes into putting and articulating your thoughts down on paper so that other people can read them. So to most people, when they see that you've done this process, that you've actually put the effort in, then they go, "Okay, well, in my mind, I can see how big a job that is. So
Mhm.
obviously what you have to say is important enough that you've made that effort. You've actually done this and you've put it down on paper." So I knew that being an author was going to, just purely from a marketing perspective, I knew it was going to open a lot of doors for me. And I can tell you now, publishing my first book, I underestimated how many doors would open as a result of that. My speaking gigs, for example, I used to do opening keynotes at conferences, and I get paid anywhere between like 3 to 5 thousand to do an opening keynote, which I thought was pretty good. Once I published my first book, I ended up in a bidding war between about 4 different conferences around the world, and I got up to $20,000 to do an opening keynote. And then from there, that became my new baseline. And I remember it was kind of unfortunate because COVID kind of killed this, but in December 2019, so before I'd left Cigna, an organization in the US had basically approached me and said, "We want you to come and speak at our conference. However, Vince, we just want you to know we can't afford your rate. Like, we have only allocated a max of 5,000 per speaker. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to pay you that. We'd like to pay for your airfares and your flights, because your flights and accommodation, because we can cover that. But also, we have a money set aside. We have a budget set aside to actually gift things to our attendees. So we want to buy 5,000 copies of your book and actually get you to do like a book signing there." And I'm like, "Okay, quick mental calculation. That actually adds up to more than $20,000 by far. And you're putting me in front of my prospective audience to sign these books and connect with them." Hell yes. So there's many opportunities and different ways that you can kind of make money and make opportunities from books. So that was a big motivator for me with my first book. So after that, once you put one book out and it becomes a bestseller, the rest of them are really about how can I add more value to people and how can I kind of impact them as much as I can.
That's amazing. I love how you got started, and I love like where you're at now. And I mean, who would have known a book? Okay, I guess I have to write one now. Who
Yeah,
would
yeah, you
know that
totally
a
do.
book would open up so many doors, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so Vince, I'm gonna have to come to you and have you
Definitely.
help me with this
It's
book.
it's one of the things that really grieves me a lot of the time too, because it is such an accomplishment being an author, and it's not as hard as people think. Like, if you think about the effort required, it's overwhelming, but actually when you start to write, it's not that hard a process, and we have like frameworks and ways to make it easier for people. But one of the things that really grieves me is seeing authors who have put all this hard work into their book and they go, "Oh, I'm an author," and you go, "Yeah, yeah, it's on the shelf behind me."
Yeah,
And I'm going, That's not the place for your book. Your book
yeah.
should be making you money. Your book should be generating leads. It should be adding value to your current customers. It should be like a whole suite of content for you. It should be getting you on stages. It should be opening doors for you, connecting you with other people. And there's so
Mhm.
many different ways that we can bring that to life. So that's the part of the publishing side that I really enjoy, is really getting to teach people all those elements and teach them to be able to make those opportunities for the books and things as well.
Yeah, that's super awesome. And for you guys who are listening, and we're right now, we popped up a Vince's
Yeah, yeah.
website where you can see a lot of what he does. I mean, he's a huge marketing person, but he's also got a podcast and he's got a really great way to connect your stories and ideas and make it into a book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sign up for this because I'm,
Yeah, those are because there's many different ways that you can become an author. There's obviously writing your solo book, writing a single book that's just from you. There's also what we call low content books, and I can teach people how to bring to life these things. So I've just done one recently called 5 Word Affirmations, where in reality it's about 30 pages worth of writing, but it's a full size book, and it's because each of the other pages is a 5 word affirmation. So it's this concept I'm trying to teach people around how you can make books really accessible. There's also repurposed books. I deal with this a lot with entrepreneurs that have podcasts. So a lot of them have all this content. They're just constantly interviewing people. And even with my podcast, as you know, always ask 3 practical tips. I've now interviewed 230, 240, I've lost track, probably 250 people, all these leading entrepreneurs, and every single one of them has given me 3 practical tips. That's a whole pile of books that I can put together just on these practical tips from entrepreneurs. But then there are what you showed us there, which is the collaboration books. And this was because I realized last year I helped about 20 of my clients become authors. And it's just the most satisfying feeling. Like, honestly, when you see that smile on their face when they're on Zoom going, I did it, Vince, and they're holding up their book going, oh, this is insane, sending it to their mum and they're so proud. I'm like, oh, this is such a cool moment. But I realized not everybody has the time to write a full book, or they need it faster and things. So I wanted a way where we could kind of bring people together around a topic. So we created those collaboration books where you can sign up for one that resonates with you. So for example, the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur, and you can write a chapter, which is 3,000 to 5,000 words, which for a lot of people they can smash out in a weekend, or certainly in a couple of weeks. Bring you together with these other entrepreneurs, and then we do the rest for you. We publish the book, we make it a bestseller, we give you 10 copies of the book for yourself, like physical copies, 10 ebook copies, and then we teach you how to make money off it. So it's just a more accessible way for people to become an author, and it's incredible because we find the most amazing people. I've found people that have contributed to those books that you read their chapter, and my developmental editor looks at it and goes, are you taking the mickey? Like, seriously, this is so good. I'm pretty sure this person's a professional author. So we have to go back to them and go, look, first of all, congratulations, this is amazing, and it's going to be a good contribution to the book. But secondly, you need to write a full book. And a lot of them have gone on to publish their full books from that as well.
wow. All right. That is awesome. Well, you're going to be hearing from me about that.
I'm looking forward to that.
And also, guys, to pop up here too, Vince has got his own company, Chasing the Insights, and he's got his own podcast as well that you're gonna want to listen into. You can find it on IMDb, pretty much anywhere that podcasts are able to be listened to. He's got it there, and he
Yeah.
interviews some really interesting people, some really interesting advice. I actually listen to you, Vince, quite often. So yeah, I would highly suggest you guys. You're missing out on a lot of really great information if you don't check it out. And
Oh,
also,
there's some
check out the
incredible stories on the podcast. One of the things I do is any guests I have on there, I don't research their backstory. I research what they do. Obviously, I want to make sure they're reputable, but I
website.
don't want to know their backstory. I don't want to know where they came from, anything like that, because that's something we talk about on the show. And the reason I don't do that is I want it to be like a reveal to me, like it would be for you as you're listening to it. And I can tell you now, there's one episode. We put it out as an audio podcast, but we have the video version in our Insiders Club. And there's one episode there where I was interviewing this woman who was talking about her brother who passed away when he was very, very young, and he had cerebral palsy. And she was talking about this concept of non-verbal communication, and said, look, if you she was talking about her brother, and she said, I would just look at my brother and know what he was feeling. I would know what he was thinking at the time. And it's really weird, and people don't understand this concept. And I'm sitting there going, like freaking out, because that's exactly what happened with me. My brother passed away when he was 3.5 years old, but we had this weird kind of like people would put it down as a psychic link,
Yeah.
or a telepathic link kind of thing. But really, it was just that we understood each other, and we would sit there, we'd look at each other and crack up laughing. And she's sharing her story, and I'm sitting there connecting with this story. I'm in tears. I was a mess. Like, I'm so glad that most people only hear the podcast, because the two of us like had tears streaming down our face when we we're sharing our stories. It was incredible. But there's some of the journeys that people have been on are phenomenal. Just it blows me away that I get to connect with such amazing people around the world. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. And what a cool, opportunity. Podcasting really opens the doors to a lot of things too. A lot of people that you would never meet normally. If you have a podcast and they fit your niche to talk to, that's a really great opportunity to get to talk to them and have that
Oh yeah.
connection. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so you can talk to Vince about podcasting too, because he's 200 some episodes. I was looking at it. That's amazing.
Plus, we've got
So,
the second podcast, which we do, the NFT Ninjas podcast, where we train people, we teach them all about NFTs. We make it really accessible. I co-host it with Katie Brinkley, and we've just reached episode 50. So we're like,
oh my
so
gosh.
we're already at 50 episodes on that one.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, and let's go dive into the NFTs a little bit. Obviously, you've got a lot of marketing experience. We've got his website up here, chasingtheinsights.com, guys. So definitely check this out. But go into, you got your podcasting, you have your books, you got a whole bunch of help and support. But
Yep.
what about the NFTs? This is a whole new world. What got you started
It
into
is.
this? And tell us
Oh
a little
man.
bit more about this.
Look, I'm a giant nerd for starters, which you probably tell from my background with all the Star Wars memorabilia and everything. But I'm a giant nerd and I love technology. And one of the things that was really important to me is learning, like for example, blockchain. Everyone
Mhm.
kind of goes, "Oh, blockchain, crypto. Oh, yeah, I've heard that all the time." There's all these fads that die away. But I actually look at these things from a different perspective. I look at them from how can we use things like this to help us as entrepreneurs? And I don't mean just to be trendy and different, but I mean how can we use these to affect change? How can we use these to deeply connect with our clients, for example? And about 2 years ago, the Ethereum network, so there's the Ethereum blockchain and there's a few other ones, have this concept of what's called a smart contract. So as well as being able to process transactions on there, you can kind of link it to all these other transactions. You can basically create almost like a process flow on it. And as a result, NFTs were born, which when you're trying to teach people about it, you say NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. Now they're even more confused than they
Which
were before.
exactly.
But essentially, they're like a digital asset that sits on the blockchain. So it could be an image, it could be a video file, audio file, any kind of digital asset that sits on the blockchain that is also a token. And what I mean by that is it's something that enables you access to something. And when you understand that concept, and I remember these came around about 2 years ago, started looking at them going, hang on, there's a potential here for us to drive the right behaviors with our clients or to be able to open up opportunities for new clients using this kind of technology. And examples of that, one of the things I'm doing at the moment is I'm going to be launching at the end of this year, fingers crossed, a NFT around my podcast, which basically, if you listen to an episode within 48 hours of it going live, then you get a code in there, you plug that into a website, and you'll get a free NFT, or you go in the draw for a free NFT, which is your kind of proof of listening. It's saying, hey, I did this action that you wanted me to do. I was there in the first 48 hours, which is going to drive my stats up, which is going to be amazing. I want people listening to it as much as they can. But then they get a residual benefit from that as well. They get to stack these things. If they get 3 of them, they get access to discounted merchandise, or they get 5 of them, they get a one-on-one session with me. Or if they get 20 of them, they can be a guest on the show. We're still working out the logistics of this, but it's a way for me to give back to my audience, to give back to my true fans, to give back to the people that are doing the things that we actually want them to do around our business. So that was really exciting. But then I started moving into how can we drive some social change around this as well, and working on a number of projects at the moment. One of them is around raising money for various charities and social good organizations. But the other came from a book that I wrote about 15 years ago. And this was something when my son was 4, he's our youngest. We tried to tell him about Santa Claus, and he just went, nah, that's a stretch. And if you've got little ones around, you might want to close their ears for a moment, because we realized he's never going to fall for this. So we said to him, okay, look, Santa Claus ain't real. It's just something that parents and Coca-Cola made up just to make kids behave themselves. And he just turned around to me and said, look, Dad, if you're going to make up stories, make them interesting and put ninjas in them. And we thought, oh my goodness, coolest concept ever. And then the other thing that I realized is it really did grieve me to say to my son, that, you basically behave yourself and you'll be rewarded. And if we look at a lot of, particularly the secular culture around Christmas, but a lot of the traditions around this are in saying to children, hey, if you want to get on the nice list, or you don't want to upset the elf on the shelf or whatever, then you need to be good. And what we're really saying to kids is you need to do as you're told. And as a parent of two kids, a proud parent of two kids, I thought, I don't want that to be a baseline for my children. I don't want their baseline to be that they have to do what they're told, either by their parents, by their teachers, by their employers, and they will get rewarded for that compliance. I want so much more for my kids. Now, to be clear, I don't want them in anarchy and I don't want them disobeying me. But what I wanted was them to aspire to be something so much more than that, and that to be the thing that gets rewarded and recognized. So we wrote the Christmas Ninja story, which is where we combined all of the Christmas traditions. So we had little baby Jesus in the manger. We had the wise men coming down to the baby Jesus. Then we had the Christmas Ninja following them. And her mission when she got there was to defend baby Jesus from an assassination attempt from Santa and his evil ninja elf clan. So massive battle ensues. Santa gets defeated. He gets banished to the North Pole with the elves. And as penance, once a year, he has to deliver presents to all the kids. But then this Christmas Ninja goes on her new mission. Now she's on a new mission to find people that are worthy of the traits of the Christmas Ninja. And these are traits of honor, respect, courage, compassion, and self-sacrifice. When she finds these people, she deems them worthy, bestows upon them a gift, and then they become a Christmas Ninja themselves. So that was the story we wrote 15 years ago. My kids absolutely loved it, but it also became our family tradition. So every year we had to pick a person that we deem worthy of the traits of the ninja. And at Christmas time, we would get them a gift. It'll all be anonymized from the Christmas Ninja, and we had the story in there, etc. On Christmas Day, you would get up, open one present each, jump in the car, and go and deliver these presents without getting seen. So this was just some fun for us. And my kids took it real seriously. I think my son, when he was about 7, I came into the study and he had, on his computer, he had a spreadsheet of all of his friends working out who was more worthy than the others. It was amazing to see this. But it also was something that started to spread. And we weren't aware of that at first. We started coming across people that have been deemed worthy that we'd never met before. And then even I found out even recently that it's spread from New Zealand here into the US, into other countries as well. I was on a conference call with someone, and they freaked out when they heard the story because they're like, dude, like 5 years ago, I got deemed worthy. I had no idea what this is, but it just impacted me. And I thought, what if we could affect a little bit of change with this? What if by putting the book out there, I'd written the book, but I'd never done the artwork. What if I could team up with an amazing artist and we could put the book out there to inspire people to want to be better, and particularly children? So I teamed up with this amazing artist, just absolutely beautiful art. And the two of us started thinking, well, what if we took it even a step further? So we wanted to create an NFT series called the Christmas Ninjas, where there's 10,000 of these things available. And when you own these, basically, we're going to use this to rewire your brain, to rewire your cognitive function. And the way we do this is multiple times a year, you're going to get what's called a worthy NFT. And this gets airdropped to you. So in other words, it comes to you free of charge for you to give to somebody you deem worthy of those traits. And the idea is we want you to train yourself to recognize and reward the right type of behaviors. And in doing so, honestly, it changes your outlook. I look at the effect it had on us and our children, and the fact that we were actively looking for the good in other people. We rewired our entire reticular activating system, like the part of your brain that filters information in. Like it's always looking at what information is relevant for my survival or my success, and what information should I ignore. But when you're telling it that the good inside other people, the awesomeness that makes humans so incredible, that is relevant information, you will start to see it in everyone. And not just the people that you like, and not just the people that you get on with, but you'll see it in the people that you disagree with, or the people that you dislike, or the people that irritate you. And it really does change your outlook. And we thought right now, more than ever, the world really needs some positivity. It really needs a way to see the best in people and to remove the divide that's happening out there. So we've got together a solid team. So we're birthing these NFTs into the world. There's a whole pile of other stuff attached to them as well. You get access to our annual Christmas party, which is going to be epic. Like we're doing this all in the metaverse. We're going to have the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest online Christmas party in the world. But we also are going to be launching a whole pile of social good campaigns off this. So we want to launch the Lone Ninja Project, where we recognize and help children at Christmas time that are stuck in orphanages and hospitals, hospices, etc., and make their Christmas just a bit better. And then we're going to eventually launch our Worthy Awards, which is really looking at the people in the world that tirelessly give, with most of the time without even being seen. The people that work every day in a soup kitchen, or work every day helping the homeless or the sick, or self-sacrificing, like giving up their entire career and that to travel overseas to just help other people. Those people we want to recognize and reward. So this is how we're using NFTs to kind of drive some social change and drive some change within even the people that own the NFTs themselves. So very, very passionate about this, very passionate about the good that NFTs can do in the world as well. So yeah, so that's the history of the Christmas Ninja.
I love that. I think that's so great. It's better. I can hear a lot of parents saying it's way better than the elf on the shelf. So you guys want to get involved.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
you guys want to get involved with this, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, get in touch because it's a really cool idea, and NFTs can really be beneficial. And I love how you're using that as like
Yeah.
an award system, and that's a really great way to use those,
Yeah.
and
Well,
to just
it's
kind of
just
create
one of the
community.
many ways that you can bring NFTs to life for
Yeah.
businesses, and that's why we do the 5-day challenge, which you would have seen the link there on the homepage for Chasing the Insights.
Yes.
This is where we realize that a lot of people don't even know what NFTs are, or the only thing
Yeah.
they hear about them is the speculative nature of them. It's like, oh, these are investments, and someone buys a picture of an ape for $2.4 million or whatever. It's like there's so much more to this technology than that, and we can teach you that. So we set up a free 5-day challenge where you come in, we teach you every aspect of NFTs just for an hour a day, and at the end of it, we actually give you your own NFT for free, just to say thanks. So yeah, so things like that are where we really kind of see how we can impact others, is by educating new people around NFTs and then using these NFTs to really drive positive social change.
It's amazing. Yeah, guys, you definitely want to check out this class. It's a free class, 5 days, and you can find it on chasingtheinsights.com website. Really worth it. If you guys want to know more about NFTs, Vince is definitely a master at this. So, and plus, he's just a lot of fun to listen to, and probably would be one of the best people to explain it because it's a really complicated. Seems like it's a complicated thing, especially
Oh,
since it's kind of
yeah.
yeah one of those
I think the
non-tangible.
first time I heard NFTs, I was like, okay, I'm going to investigate this. And I'm a super smart guy. Like I'm in technology all the time. And I just looked and went, I have no idea what the hell this is. Like, my son as well. My son's like a genius. He's studying software engineering. And even he's going, Dad, I don't know what this is. I know. But once you learn what it is, and it doesn't take you
Yeah,
long, it feels like it's learning a foreign language because there's all this terminology that people use, all these abbreviations and things. But once you understand it and once you kind of get your head around it, it really does open your eyes to new ways, even new ways of doing business. Like I'm helping a number of different businesses to be able to crowd fund aspects of their business. And a good example is a guy who wants to build these electric vehicle chargers. So he wants to manufacture these chargers, put them around the US, particularly in areas where he wants to drive his Tesla and there's no charging stations. He's like, oh, freaking out. So he wants to put these things there and make money. He makes profit off the electricity that's sold in these things. He makes a margin on all of those. But obviously, there's a huge overhead required to actually build and manufacture these machines, which means he
hmm
either has to go through the traditional route of bank loans or VCs or angel investors, all these different things, which have plus sides, but also a lot of downsides as well.
yeah,
And from that, he decided, hey, what if I do an NFT series
yeah.
where basically people can own these NFTs? Each NFT they buy is one of these charging stations. They get to name that station and they get a percentage of the profits as well. So for
That's
people, it's a way
amazing.
for them to invest in his company without it being shares or anything like that, to invest in his company to help him to bootstrap this, to be able to build this business up. And he gets profit a lot quicker than what he would normally. So the chance of him failing as a business is a lot less. So
Yeah.
there's just so many different ways to use these to help you as an entrepreneur.
Exactly. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I love what he did with that because so many people, it it helps to have something that'll benefit them back for them to get involved, and
Yeah.
that does. And
Yeah.
it's also how it goes to a really great cause to help these charging stations, like
Yeah.
greener planet.
Well,
It's great.
I think
Yeah.
it's the different way of thinking with NFTs is we've always thought as our business, what we're building, and their customers, so they pay. But now what we're doing is we're saying, let's try a different way. Let's
Mhm.
try and build this together. which means anyone who's there with you in the early days of your business that back you, that are fans of yours, that buy whatever it is you're doing, that buy these NFTs, as you grow, as you succeed as an entrepreneur, they grow with you, because if they hold these NFTs, if these NFTs go up and up and up in value, they're actually sitting on an asset now that actually has more value than what they paid for it. So
Mhm.
musicians are a good example of this. I'm a huge fan of a couple of NFT musicians, particularly Violetta Zeroni, beautiful voice. So I bought her NFTs knowing that she's going to become big one day, really big. And when she does, I was there in the beginning. So I was one of the early fans. So I hold this badge of honor of going, I've got one of her NFTs. So I was one of the original fans. But by the same token as well, as she gets more and more popular, as she becomes more and more successful, that NFT increases in value so dramatically. So I get rewarded for being there at the beginning, for actually helping that person to build their brand and build their business. So it's just a different way of thinking. That we use a term in NFTs called "we is greater than me," and it really is the case when you're talking about NFTs. The collective "we" is far more powerful and far greater than you on your own.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. Um, I appreciate you sharing all that really great opportunities with NFTs, Vince. And you guys definitely check out his website. And you'll want to work with Vince because he's got so many great things, from social media marketing to your book. To, I mean, you kind of cover a lot of general media needs and
I
marketing
was
and
going to
stuff.
say, it's the advantage of being ADHD is you often, you can't just work on one thing. You've got to have your finger in so many different fires. Yeah.
You know what? I actually really understand that a lot.
Yeah.
Tell us a
I know
little
you
bit
do.
about this Chasing the Insiders Club. You guys are launching this in October.
Yep. So the Chasing the Insights Insider Club. We were going to be launching that in October. We're actually shutting that down now because so that's my academy program. And that's where we helped. It's kind of like an accelerator program to help
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. But what I've discovered is there's more impact that we can do in different areas. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's something that we are going to be phasing out. I've already had a few tranches of incredible entrepreneurs come through that. It's always a challenge, though, when you're a podcast, for example, your audience are entrepreneurs, but also because of my reputation in the marketing industry, I have a lot of marketers that follow. So you launch an accelerator program like that, and the first bunch of people to sign up, you're like, you don't own a business. Why are you signing up for a business accelerator? I just want to learn from you, Vince. You're like, no, I appreciate that, but this is not for you. This is for entrepreneurs. But I found there are so many other ways that we can actually help entrepreneurs to succeed. So that's one I am phasing out at the moment.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it's always part of having your own business is adjusting to whatever the needs are, and kind of
Oh
going.
yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't, you're in you're in a lot of
Yeah.
trouble.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, we could have sat there and said, look, it's obviously good revenue coming through when you got people signing up for these,
Yeah.
6-month, 1-year programs. But the reality is, if I'm feeling like I'm not adding the value that I should be adding there, or I'm feeling like there are other ways that we can help these people, it would
Mhm.
feel really disingenuous of me to just keep that going just to make money. So a lot of the clients that we've had come through that, we're launching a few masterminds which they can belong to, which are lower cost, but just kind of give them the support that they need. And then we'll bring to life these other areas where we can help them to become authors, help them to learn PR, help them to build their own podcast and things like that as well.
That's amazing. Awesome, awesome. Vince, your wealth of information and just such a cool person. Are there any last things that you'd like to share with everybody before we end for the day? Any fun messages?
I I just want to come back to a challenge I've got for you, which is
Oh,
also for everyone watching and listening to this as well. Because I hear this all the time. People think I can't be an author, or they think, oh, my story's not important. I'm telling you now, your story is incredibly important. And I've seen this time and time again with my podcast, with the summits that I run, with the books that I publish. A good example actually is one of the speakers I had at one of my early summits and also on my podcast. She was just sharing part of her journey about divorce, and she had been fired 3 times. The last time was because she came home from work. She was a very kind of dominant personality woman, and apparently some men can't deal with that. So she got fired multiple times. Came home from work one day, and her husband just said, "That's it. I'm out of here. I'm gone." And he had been having an affair, and he moved on. All this. So she went back to work the next day, trying to deal with this information. Sat down with her boss, and he said, "Oh, you don't seem yourself today." And she, "Oh, look, it's just I'm dealing with some personal stuff at the moment. My husband's just walked out." And he goes, "Oh, woman problems. I'm so sick of this. You're fired." which I still can't believe can be a thing in this day and age, but apparently it can. But that meant that she left there, hopped in her car, drove away from her employment, got to a red light, burst into tears, and thought, I'm such a failure. I'm never going to be employed again. I'm never going to find love again. I'm just so worthless. And in that moment, she kind of like her brain kicked in and just said, stop. Now it's time for you to be you. And now it's time for you to step into your power. And she shared this journey, and it was incredibly powerful. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I got an email from one of the listeners and one of the attendees of the summit who sent me this thing saying, I felt like she was telling my story. This woman had been fired from her job for who she was a star employee, but got fired for speaking up about something inappropriate that happened there and felt like a failure and like went into this kind of spiral of self-doubt. But by hearing somebody else's story, she managed to step into her own confidence and she actually started to succeed with what she was doing. So she just wanted, like, I've kept in touch. She actually became a client of mine at some point as well. But I kept in touch with her, finding out about her journey and finding out about the breakthrough that she had just from hearing somebody else's story. And just because you feel like your story isn't relevant or you feel like you don't have something to add value there, I'm telling you now, that's absolute rubbish. Your story is incredibly important because there's somebody out there that could hear the same thing from 100 other people and it not resonate. But when they hear it from you, because of that shared experience they've had with you or something about your personality, their personality that clicks, it just really resonates and gets them the breakthrough that they need. So please don't doubt yourself when it comes to writing books or even doing anything when it comes to entrepreneurship. Believe in yourself and keep pushing yourself out there because others are waiting for you to turn up. So yeah, that's the only thing I will add there, Ashley. And also that was a subtle play to going, Ashley, you need to write a book. You put your
You know
foot
what?
in it
I'm gonna
now.
write a book, Vince. You're gonna see. I need to schedule a time with you, and we're gonna write
Do it.
for
Do
your
it.
team. And I'm gonna write this book because
Yep.
that last message you just had here, where the girl was dominant, and in the workforce, I'm not bashing guys, but they don't like somebody else's dominant, especially if it's a woman coming into their game, and it
I've seen this
really,
far too many times. Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
It was
yes.
actually part of why with the Christmas Ninja project, one of the things I realized is NFTs or any technology-based space is predominantly male, and that annoys me. It annoys me not because it's predominantly male, but because it's created a culture that doesn't allow women to thrive in there, or doesn't necessarily give them the opportunities unless they really are dominant. So one of the things that was important to me is putting together a team where of the 7 founding team, like the 7 core leaders in the team, I'm the only male. The only other guys in the team have the lowest roles in it, and I keep hassling them about it, which I probably shouldn't do. But it was just really important to me to make sure that we have diversity. We have, obviously I want women to have a seat at the table there, but also that we have people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, from different beliefs, from everything, so that we have this diversity of thought there. And collectively together, honestly, our team meetings, this is probably going to pander to a stereotype here, but I was going to say there's been lots of tears in every team meeting, but it's because we're all so passionate about the social good that we're going to do that we all can feel that, and it's just incredible. So yeah, I've seen this way too many times. It really does bother me, honestly. Yeah, we'll go into a whole rant. I'll get on my soapbox soon, Ashley, and that'll take another hour.
I was about to say, I was like, I'm gonna get on my soapbox here soon, but I can't do that because it would take a couple hours
Yeah,
to go through all that for sure.
yeah.
Because yeah,
Mhm.
just because women like just because tears are had doesn't mean it's a bad environment.
Oh,
I'm just gonna
I
say
tell you,
that.
I cry more than most people. I honestly, my son thinks it's hilarious. Every time we go to the movies, look, I love superhero movies and Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Every time we go there, he'll sit next to me and goes, "Hey, Dad." Yeah. And he'll hand me like a little packet of tissues. I'm like, "Oh, you dick." And he goes, "You're going to need them." I said, "Whatever." And then halfway through the movie, I'm like, "Thanks for the tissues." I
Yes,
ugly cry.
I'm right there. I'm right there. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially like the most it's always catches you at the wrong like not wrong time, but you just get a moment that you're just like, "Oh my gosh." That's it. Yes, I
Oh,
totally
I can tell you now, Captain America: First Avenger, right? The scene where they, he's still scrawny Steve Rogers. He's not even Captain America yet. And they throw the dummy grenade down, and everyone thinks it's a real grenade, and he jumps on it to save everybody else. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm choking up. I'm choking up. I'm like, hold it together, man. Then I'm bawling my eyes out in the cinema that someone would sacrifice themselves for other people, even though it was a dummy grenade. He didn't know that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that just speaks to character. That just speaks to the skies of man. I'm like, oh. So, yeah, gets me every single time. Honestly, self-sacrifice in movies, I'm a blubbing mess. Even if it's a terrible film like Armageddon, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. When Harry saves it, like, sacrifice himself for other people, I'm there going, "Harry."
Yes.
Yeah,
There's just
yeah,
something about it, it just gets you, and
yeah,
it hits that moment, just like, wow, that person gave
yeah.
a ultimate sacrifice, like,
And
wow.
that's it, the ultimate and the ultimate, for me, it's the ultimate act of love as well, is to be able to give up something of yourself for somebody else. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and find Vince on his podcast, Chasing the Insight. You will not want to miss that. It's fantastic. There's so many really great words of wisdom, and he's just such a great host, too. So it makes it really fun to listen to. And you can also work with Vince at chasingtheinsights.com. Find him on there and work with him. You can do anything from NFTs to media marketing, all that good stuff. So definitely go check out Vince, and support that for sure. And if you guys want to be on our show, you can email us at contact@malabash.com to be able to be a guest on our show, and or we can just connect. So we appreciate it if you guys reach out and give us some feedback and stuff for that too. Vince, thank you so much for being here. It's just such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Seriously, like I said, I mean, chance for us two to chat is always fun anyway. But also, like I said, it is an honor being on here and being in front of your audience. I know you treat this very seriously, so you vet your guests very strongly. So it is a privilege to be here.
Oh, thanks so much, Vince. Yeah, I appreciate appreciate all of that for sure. Thanks, guys, so much, and we'll see you guys back here next time on the Malabash Spotlight Show. Take care, everybody.